you're gonna probably be in a restaurant like in 30 years and someone's gonna send over something with like a message and says like, treat yourself, enjoy this.
I love that it's part of my career, especially because there's not a ton of shows like that now that are made for that many episodes. Also, it's also something that kids can enjoy, and a lot of kids have been discovering the show, so that's been fun to meet like a whole generation of kids that have discovered the show. It's so cool. But yeah, I'm so proud to have been part of that group, and yeah, it always makes me smile when I see little moments like that.
Prepare your ears, humans. Happy, Sad, Confused begins now.
Hey guys, it's Josh, and welcome to another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Today, another first-time guest, Mr. Aziz Ansari, talking about his feature directing debut, Good Fortune. Thanks, guys, as always, for joining us on the podcast, listening or viewing it however you like. We are publishing a lot of content lately. I know, I apologize, I'm clogging your feed, but it's all for a good cause. We just have recorded so many great conversations, and I have to share them all with you. We also are just coming off of New York Comic Con, so there are a lot of the things there that I'm still trying to share with you guys as quickly as possible. As always, if you want extra content, even more early access, all the cool stuff, you know what to do. Patreon.com/happysadconfused. Plus, you're going to get the Inside Dirt first and discounts on our live events, including next week, 92nd Street Y. I am talking to the cast and creators of Nobody Wants This, and there are many, many, many more very cool events to come. Speaking of live events, that's what this was. Aziz joined me after a screening of his new film, Good Fortune, at the 92nd Street Y. Just a blast. I really like this movie a lot. I've seen this movie 3 times, actually. That should tell you all you need to know about the film. It is a high-concept fantasy, comedy, dramedy, Seth Rogen, Keke Palmer, Keanu Reeves, and Aziz himself. And it's a delight. Super funny. Aziz always delivers as a creator. I mean, if you've seen his work, obviously, Master of None was really his baby that he created, and this certainly continues that. And it's his feature directing debut, so I'm excited to help support that film in this conversation. Big career chat, though. We talk about his roots. Obviously, we cover a lot of Parks and Recreation. We have a special message from our buddy Ben Schwartz. We talk about, if you don't know it, there's a crazy story of Aziz kind of almost directing another film. He was directing another film starring Bill Murray and Seth and Keke that fell apart halfway through it. Google it, you'll see what happened. But fascinating to hear his vision for what that movie was going to be. Aziz is, one of the smartest, funniest, coolest guys around. So I think you're going to enjoy this. I take you now to the 92nd Street Y for a lovely live event with Aziz Ansari.
How's it going, everybody? Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. My name is Josh Horowitz. I host a podcast called Happy, Sad, Confused. The 92nd Street Y is always so awesome to host these live events. I love doing these here, and I love having a first-time guest on the podcast. We're about to bring out the one and only Aziz Ansari, everybody. Are you excited for this? Come on. Come on. From his stand-up, from Parks and Rec to Master of None, this guy can do so many things. He's an actor, he's a director, he's a writer, he's a Barada boy, apparently, from his new film, Good Fortune. Give it up for Good Fortune, by the way. You're some of the first folks in the world to see this film. This movie comes out in theaters, yes, in theaters this Friday. It needs all your love. Every movie does nowadays, and especially the good ones that need that word of mouth. So I know you're going to spread the good word, and as a penance, as a gift to you guys for spreading the good word, I give you the one and only Mr. Aziz Ansari, everybody. Give it up.
Thank you for coming to the screening. Thank you for having me on the podcast, and thank you for these tiny, nondescript water bottles. 3 of them. Who
got your
was
rider.
The third one for? Whoever gets the most dehydrated.
Ooh, something to stay tuned for. Congratulations, man. This movie is so great.
Thank you very much. Your 3rd time seeing it, you said.
I've seen this
That's
movie
a lot.
3 times.
It's not even out yet. You've seen it 3 times. That's a lot of love. I appreciate it.
And I'm a busy man.
No, thank you.
No, I love it. Is the greatest acting challenge of your life pretending you've never eaten burrata in your life?
Hey, you know me. You know me well. Yes, that was tough. Yeah, but we did it.
So this film It is a film. It is a film for theaters. And that is a rarity nowadays, as we know, to see comedies on the big screen where they belong. Why is that important to you? I mean...
Well, hopefully you guys felt it today, and I felt it on the screenings we've been doing. Just being in a crowd watching a film like this, it's so much more fun than sitting on the couch by yourself and being on the phone. And I heard you guys laughing and stuff, and I miss that. And I remember going to the movies and having that experience all the time. You know, in the heyday of, you know, a lot of Seth's movies, Pineapple Express, Superbad, all those movies, and that communal experience, it adds so much to the film.
It strikes me, I mean, I remember, like, you know, when you started to especially do films and we're in some of those, like, Apatow comedies and 30 Minutes or Less, and, like, you were kind of like, you know, you were getting some nice roles, some smaller roles, but this must be a whole different kind of feeling because you're the architect of this. You must feel the skin in the game, the pressure, but also the joy of bringing this to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's similar to when I went from doing Parks and Rec to doing my Netflix series Master and Done. You know, to just kind of go from being a piece in a machine to being like, oh, what you're building the whole machine and putting it all together, and you have so many more responsibilities and everything. But you also get to make something that's yours.
So take me back. You were saying, like, you know, we all share those memories growing up of that theatrical experience, especially seeing comedies. What were the ones that really resonated with you, that you knew by heart, that you can remember yourself sitting in a theater enjoying as a kid?
Comedies?
Yes,
as a
comedies
kid,
especially.
You know, as a kid, I don't remember as many. As a kid, I remember I was like so into action movies as a kid. And I know this is gonna sound convenient because he's in the film, but I remember a couple of the big Keanu movies. Like, I remember seeing Speed in the theater. I saw that at a drive-in movie theater in Albany, New York, and it just crushed. It was so cool. Sorry, I've told this story on this press tour a couple times because of obvious reasons, but I remember I went with my family. My aunt and uncle lived in Albany. They took me to a drive-in movie theater, and the first movie was True Lies, which was amazing. And then the second movie was Speed, and I thought Speed was like about people doing speed, like the drug. And I thought it was gonna be awkward seeing all these hyper people with my aunt and uncle. So I was like, maybe we go home. And then it was Speed, and it's so good, and it plays so well in the theater, and that was great. I remember going to The Matrix when I was in high school. That was unbelievable. But comedies, if I really think back, I mean, I remember being in college. I think I was in college when we went and saw Anchorman, I think at the Regal in Union Square, and it was electric. The energy in there was crazy. Same with 40-Year-Old Virgin. I definitely remember that era of films and seeing those with audiences and it being something special.
I also want to mention before I forget, again, having seen this film 3 times, all 3 times, I think I'm the loudest one laughing in the theater at the line, I feel like Kevin James in Hitch.
I feel like Kevin James in Hitch.
It's a very specific...
That makes me Hitch in Hitch. You know, you want to know a little tidbit?
Yes.
Okay, so what we had in the edit at one point was... I would say, I feel like Kevin James in Hitch. And then Seth says, that makes me Hitch in Hitch. He's a cool guy. Thanks. And then we both said, take that and rewind it back. Ursher got the beat, make the booty go clap, and then it cut to the next scene. And then they were like, that'll cost $100,000.
Right.
And we said, but we really like it. And they're like, we really don't think that's the best use of the budget.
Are you the kind of filmmaker writer that has like alts? Like, you know, I've been on the Apatow, McKay sets where they're on the bullhorn throwing at alts, or are you kind of like wedded to the words?
I say it's a little bit different than their process. I've experienced that process a little bit. You know, they're often shooting with multiple cameras, so everybody's improvising, and it's a little bit more of a free-for-all. You know, I'm usually shooting with one camera, and we spend a lot of time rehearsing. So a lot of the scenes in there, they were developed through rehearsal, and we would kind of find the scenes that way, and so we were starting a little bit ahead of the game. And then while we're shooting, sometimes I would throw things out. I mean, I remember in that scene where they're both eating the burger, when Keanu's eating a burger for the first time. Those scenes were so fun, where I'm just directing and I had to just throw jokes at Seth and Keanu, and I think I pitched for Keanu to say, or Seth would say, you're a big boy now, and then Keanu take a bite and say, yeah, I'm a big boy, and then they would just do that, and it was so fun.
I mean, seeing this film, I mean, I can't help but think, I mean, you know, I'm a bit of a cinephile, so I think of things like everything from LA Story to Heaven Can Wait, Being There. There are a lot of little elements in there. I don't know if any of those were on your mind.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, what was interesting is we had a big pause for the writer's strike. You know, we shot for like a day. The only real scene we got under our belt was the burger scene, which was, I mean, you know, this is a precarious thing. People are like, "Oh man, you know, it must all so tough to get the movie." But I'm so thankful we got it done, because there's a world where we couldn't have come back, where they would have been like, "Hey, you know, this has really changed how expensive this movie is that you shut down because of strike and everything." But we had that burger scene, and I think that burger scene, you know, was kind of proof of concept. But in that period during the strike, that was a long. It was like what, 6-8 months. It was a long time. I just, you know, I didn't work on the script at all. You know, you weren't supposed to, but I also welcomed that because it gave me some space from it. And I watched, you know. I would watch a bunch of LA movies, you know, a bunch of Union movies, you know, everything. And I watched LA Story, and oh man, that opening is so great. The parody of what is it, La Dolce Vita, and he has like a hot dog. Yes. And then just when they're at the four-way stop and they all crash into each other, that's an amazing movie. And many of those
Patrick
LA
Stewart in that movie, amazing. So many good things in that movie.
Patrick Stewart, what is
Patrick
he?
Stewart plays like the obnoxious chef he's like the head of the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what's funny is all those LA jokes still work, and
Right.
it's you know, that's pretty old now.
What is the germ of the idea here? What's the first thing you ever put, like log line or early version of this that came together?
I would just started writing those two guys, and then I would get to like page 40, and I was like, I don't know what happens here. And then I had this angel idea, and I was like, oh, maybe that angel thing happens here. And then I tried that, and it started working, and I kept coming up with other ideas, like, oh, what if the angel gets fired, and then he has to become a human, and then he has to get a job, and it kind of flowed from there.
And the kind of commentary, I wouldn't call this like it's not an overt message movie, but there's, you know, you're talking about the gig economy. You're talking about how we're kind of like piling all this on this underclass that's propping up the upper class. Was that baked in from the start? Like, when did that kind of like enter in as a theme throughout the film?
I mean, it was in there, and then I did a lot of interviews and things, and got a lot of details that kind of I filled in into the film. So yeah, it kind of just came as I was doing the writing process and kind of fleshing everything out. And
in terms of, you know, I mean, this is obviously a high concept film, so like there are a lot of different ways to do that. Like you kind of lean in. It's like you have angel wings. Like they're like, did you question yourself of like, what can I get away with? What's the audience going to buy in terms of how to depict the fantastical stuff?
Yeah, that's a tough challenge to find that tone, right? Where you're doing some pretty heavy stuff. A guy's sleeping in his car and everything, but how do you kind of play that stuff straight? But then you also have Keanu wearing angel wings, and I don't know. For some reason, I had it in my head, the tone, and it just kind of worked. And I think so much of you know, whether you're making a film or a television show, if you have the tone and you believe in it and know it, I think it can work. I mean, that's how I felt about Master Nun and this, and I feel like it works.
Well, I think it also works because like you do ground it in such a way where like, you know, I think most of us, if we did encounter somebody with angel wings coming up to us, we would probably react like your character does and say something to the effect of like, who the fuck are you? Get away from me.
Yeah.
That's what you would do.
Yeah, that's played pretty real, you know, and then, you know, he does the fantastical thing and shows me the visions or whatever. That's like, okay, this is clearly a legitimate angel person.
So some specific things in the film, I'm curious if they came from your life or not. Did you learn a specific dance for your 40th birthday party?
No. God, no, man. Come on.
No judgment. I'm just asking.
No, I just thought that'd be a fun thing for him to have to learn that he wanted to learn a dance. But that choreographer, he's the real choreographer, Michael Arnold, and he's worked with Scorsese and Joaquin Phoenix and all these amazing people, and I thought he was a funny character, so I just put him in the movie too.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so you know Seth, you know Kiki. Did you know Keanu? Had you
I'd
ever?
never met him before. I'd seen him one time in real life, and he was just leaving some hotel that I was in, like walking through the lobby, and he had this big smile on his face, and he walked past me, and that's the only time I'd ever seen him in person. He's one of these guys that still has that mystique, you know.
Totally.
You know, you go to these kind of Hollywood things, and you know people aren't really impressed, but he's one of these guys where, whoa, Keanu's here. You know, he's still in that kind of rarefied air. So no, I'd never met him.
So he obviously, he's very specific. There you can count on one hand people of that type who bring that kind of gravitas and specificity. It's like, was there plan B? Is it like, okay, if I can't get Keanu, it's Vin Diesel? Like, what do you? Which would be awesome too, honestly, by the way. But like, what did you write with him in mind? I guess when did you?
I didn't write with him in mind. I originally thought Seth would play the angel.
Oh.
And so I had Seth in my head. What's that?
We're entering another plane
That's
of
Vin
existence.
Diesel. He's pulling up. He heard that bit. He's like,
It's like Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times.
that's Dominic Toretto.
You rang. Yeah.
By the way, that is my favorite acting of the last few years, or whatever you want to call it. Performance, everything. Anything. One of the best pieces of, I don't know, if to me it's cinema. It's not technically wasn't in a movie theater, but to me it's cinema, is that moment at the Oscars when Vin Diesel sees The Rock in the audience and he goes, "Hi, Dwayne." You know what I'm talking about? There's so much depth to that. That's like, because you hear about you hear about this feud and all this stuff, and then they might be coming at together, and then he shows up at the Oscars where you kind of don't expect him to be. He goes, "Hi, Dwayne." It's kind of incredible.
Whose side are you on in the ongoing feud? I think they mended ways by now, but if you had to choose your side.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like we're all winning in this because this is pure entertainment. So
Okay, so we were talking. So Seth was originally the idea.
Seth was originally the angel, and then me and Seth met with a couple of people to playing Jeff, and we were both kind of feeling the same thing. We're like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, I think, Jeff needed to be someone you could root for, while at the same time be a little annoyed with. And then I had the idea, well, why don't I just make Seth Jeff? He can pull that off. He'd be great as Jeff. And then we'll find someone else to play the angel. That's a little more open-ended. You could, you have a little more latitude of who that could be. And then one of the first names that came up was Keanu Reeves. And I was blown away that this was a possibility. I met with him, and we had a great meeting, and he seemed intrigued by the idea. I sent him the script, and we met up a couple times, and then here we are.
I've heard you talk about this a little bit, and I agree with you. Like, you're leaning into a kind of a cadence of Keanu that we haven't seen in a while, but that he does very well. This kind of innocence. Yeah,
he's very funny when he's innocent, naive, kind of dumb. I mean, he does it very well. I mean, before I met with him, I did a little Keanu film festival, and I watched, all these things. I watched everything. It's what a delightful filmography to have everything from Speed to Point Break to Matrix, and then I watched some of those comedies from back in the day, the Bill and Ted stuff, and Parenthood. I love him in Parenthood. And you can see little pieces of Todd and the Bill and Ted character in here, and it's just taking that and kind of adjusting it for who he is now.
Right.
Because he has this. He's in his 60s now. I think he just turned 60 last year, and he has this wisdom to him. He has this depth that wasn't there when he was playing those guys back then because he was so young. And it's like, okay, how do you put all that together, and how do you dial this up where it needs to be dialed up to be Gabriel? And he was so great, like, at just kind of giving me his time to rehearse and kind of find the character together. And he just really knocked it out of the park. I think he did such a fantastic job.
I know you've told this story, so forgive me, but it has to be said that Keanu Reeves has survived 4 John Wick films, Speed, Point Break, without breaking down, and you almost broke our beloved Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he
this film.
Famously fell and broke his kneecap, and it was when we were filming that scene in the cold plunge, and he went back to his room, and he was in his dressing room, he tripped over a rug, and he broke his kneecap. And shattered. And he did not want to take any breaks. And he just kept filming. We filmed a lot of his stuff where he had like a big knee brace that we edited out in post. And but we pushed a couple of things like the cumbia dancing and stuff. We pushed to do after he healed. But he was a trooper. Again, the movie could have completely went away. He could have easily said, "Hey, I can't do this. I shattered my kneecap." I'm sure his doctor was like, "Yeah, you don't want to be acting right now. You want to heal." And he completely came through for all of us and pushed through what I'm sure must have been excruciating pain.
Do you have those like surreal moments still at this point in your career? Like you're directing a film that you wrote, you're in a pool with Seth Rogen and Keanu Reeves. How did I arrive at this place in my life?
It's all surreal, man. I don't take any of it for granted. And yeah, the Keanu thing is definitely very surreal because he's someone I watched growing up as a kid. And you know, I yesterday we had a premiere in New York City, and we were at the AMC Lincoln Square. And I remembered this while we were there. I remember I came to New York in the year 2000. I was a freshman at NYU, and I remember one Saturday, I hadn't really found my friends yet. I didn't have anything to do, and I went to that theater by myself and watched Pootie Tang. And I had such a great time. And it really cheered me up because I was a little bit, you know, it was that like early freshman year. You don't have your friends. You're kind of in a different place. And I watched Pootie Tang, and I had such a great time. And last night at the premiere, Chris Rock was there, and he's a good friend of mine now. And he came to support me at the premiere. And you know, that was just one of those moments where I was like, wow, this is a truly wild ride.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows your career and some of the topics you love will not be surprised to see there's a lot of scenes of people eating in this film. There's a lot of...
You know, that was like season 3 of Master Done when I you know, where I kind of gave a deliberate fuck you to everybody and said like, hey, I'm gonna take everything people like about the show and get rid of it. No food, nothing. And then
back to your
and then good fortune. I'm like, okay, let's bring a little food here, okay. And we shot the restaurant stuff. And I remember I was with Alan Yang who produced Master Done with me. He's a producer on this. And when we were shooting that scene at that restaurant Dunsmore, we're like, well, this feels very Master of None to be in a kind of nice looking restaurant and shoot all this food stuff.
Do you like eating on camera? Because most actors I talk to, it's like sex scenes and eating on camera. Those are the two things they don't enjoy doing. Like
I don't really like it. I don't think I'm really good at it. Because what I'll do is I'll try to take small bites so I won't be like trying to do my lines with a mouthful of food. And in the Barada Boys scene, for example, I was taking these fake little bites of the bread, and Seth was like, "That's gonna look weird. It's gonna look like you nibbled on the toast." And sure enough, I'd have to take the bigger bite.
I do appreciate my Instagram feed basically is like all cinnamon buns in New York City, bakeries and cinnamon buns.
Oh yeah, well, did you catch the name of that? So we were supposed to shoot at a real place, and then at the last minute, they decided they didn't want to be filmed at for whatever reasons, and they were like, "What do we do?" And this was like so much of directing is just problem solving. Right. And you know, dealing with these hurdles that come your way, and they were like, I got bad news that the place fell through. We got to be on the block because we're permitted there. And I was like, let's just make a fake place. They sell cinnamon buns. It's called There Will Be Buns, and that's what we did. And it's cool because now we're coming out after one battle after another, and there's a little, you know, weird nod to PTA.
Is exactly good double feature. Just saying. Yeah, I mean, so do you on the food side? Do you keep up with like food trends? Are you like monitoring like what's out there? Or are you like?
No, not really. You know, I don't really go out to eat that much. I try to cook at home as much as I can. I love to cook Indian food and just stay home with my wife and cook at home. That's my favorite thing to eat.
What about ayahuasca? Where are you at on ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca, I've never done it. That lady, you know, ayahuasca. It's so funny to me because it's like this like, you know, this drug that indigenous cultures would do once a year, and you know, it would be this big deal. It would be a journey of the mind, and you know, it was a sacred thing. And now white people in LA are just doing it like every couple of weeks. And
it's time for my bi-weekly ayahuasca trip.
Not kidding. It's like, you did it again, and like. And they're like, yeah, we have this shaman named Katie. I'm like, wait a second, Katie, hi guys, I'm your shaman. Like that just doesn't, I can't, I'm not into it. And And then you talk to other people that are like trying to do it right or whatever. They're like, yeah, I was in Peru and I almost died. We couldn't get. I'm like, this doesn't sound. My view is the best, the time I feel best, you know, and I've done all the psychedelics and stuff, and what works best is just go to sleep early and don't drink a lot, and then you feel amazing, and that's really the secret. But it's just too boring a life.
Right. Ayahuasca plays better on screen. We'll say that. That's a
Oh
good...
my God, there's so much funny stuff we shot of Seth doing because we just did it like the lady is a real shaman. I said, just do what you normally do, and she just did all the stuff she normally did, and Seth was so funny, and it was one of those things where he's like, well, we got to cut this down to like almost nothing, but yeah, it was so fun.
Well, it's a perfect match cut of him throwing up on his trip and your poor character.
Yeah.
Donating his blood.
Yeah, again,
Dark.
you know, when you talk about these things, like I think about our prop master, Eric Gerbay, who one of my favorite factoids. He was a prop master on Inception, and so he had that top, and he was like, oh, I got a great puke formula, and like he had like this fake puke. It had the right consistency. I was like, damn, this is good puke.
What makes it good? Just looks good on camera?
It just looks like puke. It
Yeah.
has a good texture that reads on camera. It's got the right volume. It doesn't feel too liquidy, not too solid. It's a good.
Yeah.
He's got it down. He's
Yeah.
got And here's why this guy's a champion. He's like it tasted pretty good too. It tasted just like kind of chocolatey. It was just like didn't taste bad. You know, that was the kind of work ethic we had on Good Fortune.
I mean, when you look at this film, I mean, you kind of alluded to this, like, you know, you're not shooting, it's a very specific vision. It's a single camera shot thing. You have Carter Burwell doing the score. Like, you have this amazing behind the scenes crew.
Again, just as amazing. Like, I can't believe we got Carter. I mean, he's done some, I mean, Raising Arizona, probably my favorite score ever, you know? And I couldn't believe that he was down to do this. And we did the score, he recorded the score at Abbey Road, and all these people came out to watch. They're like, yeah, Carter's the best. We gotta come watch Carter. I was like, oh, it was so cool.
It must feel like a lot of roads have been leading to this. I mean, Master of None, you obviously were, it seems like you were not experimenting, but you were pushing yourself. You and Alan were like pushing the envelope as like filmmakers in the television realm. And now it's kind of like, okay, where do we go from here? How do we bring it to the next level in a way?
Yeah, and I think that's what this does. I think it does feel like Master of None taken to another level in both kind of the runtime and also just kind of the spectacle of having you know, Keanu and Seth and bringing all these people into our world. That was definitely the goal, and I hope we get to do more of it.
I do have one other person has some questions about your filmmaking. I enlisted a mutual friend. Do you want to see a little video from Ben Schwartz?
Oh, sure.
Your old buddy?
Wow.
Ben Schwartz for Aziz. Let's take a look.
Oh, I haven't seen him in so long.
Hi, Aziz. It's me, Ben Schwartz. I played your best friend in the 4 episodes of Scrubs that you did. I have so many questions I want to ask you. First of all, congratulations on your movie. I can't wait to watch it. Second, how nice is Keanu Reeves? The nicest person in the universe. Third, what was it like to direct yourself in a film? Did you find it easy? Did you find it hard? Did you give yourself enough time like you did the other actors to do takes? Or did you cut yourself off short? And do you find any difference between directing yourself in TV and movies? Those are real questions that Josh Horowitz dreams he could think of. Also, Josh is like, you got to get it in. You got to get it in right now. So I'm on the streets of Minnesota. Miss you, buddy. Hope all is well. Rooting you on from here and can't wait to see your movie. Josh, just fucking get over yourself.
Unnecessary, sweet, and then evil.
That's so nice. I haven't seen him in so long. So what was his question?
Directing yourself.
Directing myself. I mean, I'm very used to it. You know, in the 3rd season of Master of None, and in the film I was doing with Bill Murray that we ended up not finishing at the time, I was kind of not in it as much because I kind of was like, I kind of just want to direct. I don't want to act as much. But I had small parts in both of them, and whenever I had to act, it was a little annoying. I was like, oh, I gotta go to hair and makeup and do the whole thing. I gotta act. But when you're in it all the time, it's easy because you're like, okay, I'm in it all the time. I know the deal. You know what I mean? And so this felt very much like Master of None. I was very much used to this. It was just very much in my lane. I think, you know, I've talked to Seth about this because he does the same thing on the studio. And there is something streamlined about, you know, being the person, writing, directing, starring. There's something about like, oh, there's a real line of communication that you have that's so direct for the obvious reason. And as far as the difference between doing it in film and television, not really. Yeah. We shot Master of None like a film and tried to make it feel pretty cinematic. And I remember screening Master of None episodes in theaters, and that was great. So yeah, I didn't feel much difference.
I feel like his question wasn't that much better than my questions.
No, not at all.
Right? Like it was same level.
There was some unnecessary Horowitz slams there.
Yeah. There's history there. You mentioned the Bill Murray experience, and we don't have to go into detail of it, but like I wonder if you feel like between that strike for this one and the circumstances of that film, which doesn't often happen when you're in the middle of a film and it just like goes away.
Oh, that never happens.
Like, did you feel like cursed? Like, oh my God, like.
No, not really, because here's the thing people don't realize. Like, all these movies that you see, the things that the writer's strike and the Bill thing, they were in the news. But most things that people are dealing with, they're not in the news. You don't hear about, so-and-so famous actor dropped out 2 weeks before, and then they had to spend, another year getting financing. Every movie is a miracle. And there's nobody that's made a movie that I know that's had, oh yeah, we had the script, we got the people, we shot it, and it was done. It was easy. Maybe a couple of people who have really done a lot and are really getting into a system, but especially now, like things fall apart all the time. I mean, I feel so blessed to have this movie coming out and to have gotten it done, and I don't feel unlucky in the least bit. I mean, I understand the point, but I guess I'm saying holistically, to me, like every movie's a struggle, and I made it through, and I'm here, so I did it, so I feel good. But it's interesting. I do think about Being Mortal. It was such a different movie than Good Fortune, and I don't know. It would have been a much different debut. I mean, I shot like half of it, and it was a little
more dramatic. It was a little more.
Yeah, it was heavy. I mean, it's based on a book called Being Mortal by Atul Gawande, who's an incredible writer. It's a nonfiction book. It's about dealing with end-of-life issues and things, right, that you deal with when you're around our age and your parents, and they're getting sick. You got to put them into retirement homes, deal with doctors, and it's heavy, but it can also be funny. There's humor there, in these really dark times. And the idea for the movie was like, oh, well, what if you took this book and you made it into a narrative and the guy was Bill Murray? That was the idea. It wasn't like, oh, what if there was a guy? It was like, what if it was Bill Murray? Because, and it was really trying to do an evolution of this kind of the stuff he was doing in like Lost in Translation and films like that, where he's, really funny, but it's also very poignant. And I mean, it was a great experience. And we were shooting it. It was Lowell Crowley that shot The Brutalist was our DP. We were shooting on film. We shot on 35, and it was.
Making me sad now. This sounds amazing.
Oh, I mean, it's still there. It's on my computer. Some of it, yeah.
Could you salvage it? Like, would you have to start from scratch?
No, people have talked to us about doing it. It's a matter of schedules. We got some busy people between Seth and Kiki and Bill and myself, but no, but it was a much different thing. It might have been something where people might have been like, oh man, this is they might have wanted something more like
you. Yeah, too much of a leap. Like almost like this is like you have to like get to that point to like.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I love Being Mortal too. It was just a different thing. It's a little bit different genre. It was a little more dramatic. It was but there was beautiful stuff in it. I mean. But there was really funny stuff too. I don't know if you remember. There was a woman in Parks and Recreation. Her name was Helen, and she played a character named Ethel Beavers. Uh-huh. And she was in Being Mortal, playing this cranky lady at the retirement home, and it's so funny. Just like Bill, it was such an incredible experience because. Bill, it was like you're taking Bill and you're doing these scenes. Like there was a scene where like Seth has to take him to all these different retirement homes to find out which one he's going to go into. And
shopping
all
for
of
the
them
right
were
one.
Just
Yeah.
ridiculous. There'd always be some ridiculous thing happening in the retirement homes that he was visiting. And then you go to one that's kind of sad and like a little dark and I remember thinking, I was like, man, it's so sad to think of someone like Bill being in one of these places. And then I was like, oh, it's so sad to think of anybody having to be in one of these places. Bill, everybody knows, and he has this light inside him, but everybody has light inside them. And I don't know. The movie made me think about a lot, and I hope we get to revisit it.
So we saw Ben up there. I have to ask you a bunch of, at least some things about Parks and Recreation, which
Sure.
obviously was such an important part of your life and career. Famously, you were the first one cast in that. Which is, did you realize how insane that was at the time that Greg and Mike thought of you first for their next show and it turned into Parks and Rec?
No, because I think when you're young, you're just kind of naive and dumb, and you don't realize how crazy things are. And maybe I'll look back 10 years from now and think the same thing about myself at this moment, but I don't think so. I think I have a little bit more awareness of how tricky and tough this industry can be. But yeah, I was the first one that they'd cast. I met with them, and they'd seen some stuff I'd done on a sketch show for MTV. There was one sketch they liked in particular. And they just said, "Hey, we'd love for you to be a part of this." I remember leaving the meeting. I said, "Whatever you're doing, it would be my dream to be involved in this." Right. And then they called me a couple weeks later and said they wanted me to be a part of it.
And how much of what became Tom was them presenting that idea to you, or a collaborative discussion in terms of like what he eventually turned into?
They loved to hear any ideas and things we had, and were very collaborative with the cast. But it was their thing, you know. But they would take little things, you know. They'd see like, oh, hey, Nick Offerman likes woodworking. Maybe Ron likes woodworking. You know, they would do little things like that. But yeah, that was a great experience. And yeah, I still talk to Mike and Greg, you know, when I can.
So what's the most shocking thing that at the time was like just a throwaway line that you thought you would never hear again that still exists in your life? There must be dozens of them that like.
You know what's strange is like
resurface.
if you're an actor and you're walking around, people will come up to you and they'll just say something like, "Don't get too comfy in that chair," and you'll be like, "Huh?" And they're like, "You said that! You said it!" And it's like there's so many things I just forget.
It is a good line. Yeah. Do you get? We did an event with Adam Scott actually here, and he says he has trouble watching it because it makes him sad because he just thinks of like how special a time it was.
It was special, and it's also a weird time capsule of your innocence and youth, and you know, when I watched that show, it's interesting. I hadn't really seen it in a long time, and I was listening, you know, Amy Poehler has a podcast, and I was listening to an episode of that, and then on YouTube, I got Parks stuff, like behind-the-scenes things and bloopers and stuff. And when I watched that, that really reminded me of my experience, because the show is like, you're working this much, and then they take a tiny sliver of that, and that's in the show. Like, there was some blooper thing that I saw where me and Retta, I don't remember what the context was, but we're in Nick Offerman's office and Ron Swanson's office, and we're just chanting, "Ron's in Bloosh, Ron's in Bloosh." I don't remember what Bloosh is, I don't remember, but we just kept going, "Ron's in Bloosh, Ron's in Bloosh," and we were dancing, and then like I jump on the desk, and we're like, "Ron's in Bloosh," and then I started doing like a thing where I like sped up the record, I was like, "Ron's in Bloosh, Ron's in Bloosh, Ron's in Bloosh," and then we said, "Ron's in Bloosh." And then it showed you what was in the episode, and it was just me and Retta going, "Ron's in Bloosh," cut, and then it was done. But it's funny that Ben Schwartz, you know, that thing of the record, I was always trying to put that into something. And I think there was some scene with John Ralphio where I was trying to do a thing where it's like the record's speeding and then the record's slow. And it never made it in. And then I put it in Master of None. I put it in an episode of Master of None where we do the fast record and the...
You do have a gift for slowing it down. Yeah, that's impressive.
There were some people that were audiophiles that were like, that was really accurate, the way he slowed that wave file down. There's just something about it where, you know, that job was just so, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, that was the easiest, funnest job I will ever have. I mean, to work with that group, and, you know, when you think about how much more work, when I do Master of None or a film like this, I'm like the parent, you know? I'm like a parent who's like rounding up a bunch of kids, like 100 kids, to go on a field trip or something. and then in Parks and Rec, I'm just a kid. I just show up. Oh, what are we saying? Okay, got it. Treat yourself, and then I go home, and it's the best. I mean, and when I see that stuff, I remember little things. Like, I think I remember asking Reddit, like, "Hey, is it okay if I call you my Nubian princess?" and also just seeing that, like, I'm like, what? This is just such a silly, like, fun show that, like, I'm wearing that jacket and jumping in. Why is there a DJ in the office introducing me? Like, it was just a fun world they created for us to play, and you would, it'd be like, oh, who am I doing stuff with today? Oh, Retta. Oh, who tomorrow? Oh, Adam Scott, Aubrey, just like the funniest, not only the funniest people, but really like some of the best people I've ever met in my life.
But in a great way, it's going to follow you the rest of your life, and it's going to be like you're going to probably be in a restaurant like in 30 years, and someone's going to send over something with like a message and says like, treat yourself, enjoy this.
I love that it's part of my career, especially because there's not a ton of shows like that now that are made for that many episodes. Also, it's also something that kids can enjoy, and a lot of kids have been discovering the show, so that's been fun to meet like a whole generation of kids that have discovered the show. It's so cool. But I'm so proud to have been part of that group, and it always makes me smile when I see little moments like that.
So briefly, just on your background, for those that don't know, you grew up the son of immigrants, South Carolina, not like a family that has any history of this. Like, was there a moment when you kind of like had to sit them down and say, like, I'm really serious about this? Like, was that a bit like doctor parents? Like, that must have been shocking to have their kids say, I want to be a stand-up or artist in some way, or no?
I never really had that conversation. I was doing stand-up while I was in school. I think one thing that made a big difference is I never dropped out of school. I finished school, so I didn't have to be like, hey, I'm dropping out of school to do this thing that is, 1 in a million shot happening. And I think there was definitely a window where they were like, what is this? But I think once I started getting in magazines and doing things that seemed more legitimate, I think they started getting it. And then by the time, I remember at one point, they came and saw me when I did Carnegie Hall, and I think they were like, oh, wow, this is,
this is real.
This is something he's doing well at.
In the early days before even Parks and Recreation, you must have been auditioning like a ton. Like, was it tough to? I mean, again, I can only imagine. We progressed a little bit, hopefully, but like it must have been a lot of stereotypical roles that you were up for back then.
It's interesting, I remember when I first had an agent, they would send me stuff that was all like, it was like the episode we did at Mastodon about the guy having to audition and everything was something where they asked him to do an Indian accent, and I would get that stuff. And I said, hey, I don't want to do this kind of stuff. I'd rather just do stuff where I'm playing a guy that's more like myself and sounds like me or whatever. And I think there was a confusion of just like, we don't think that's possible. And I don't think it was coming from any kind of mean way. I think they were just like, this is not really a thing. We don't really understand what you mean. Yeah. And then I remember Mindy Kaling was on The Office, and that became like the first thing you pointed. Like, you see, there's nothing, this is just about her being funny. And but I did a sketch show for MTV called Human Giant, and that was something that I wrote with Rob Hubel and Paul Scheer and Jason Wolner, and we had this sketch group, and we got a show on MTV that we did. And then after that, I came to LA because I wanted to act more, and it was one of those things, like Aubrey has a story like this where she like came to LA and she was this kind of interesting lady from New York, and right away famously booked Funny People, Parks and Rec, and Scott Pilgrim. And I kind of had a similar thing. Like I came and I got a guest arc on like Scrubs, and I got a part in a couple of little movies, but the big thing was I got Parks and Rec, and then we decided not to do a third season of the sketch show, and I did Parks, but I never had the thing like, I remember I auditioned for something, I remember I definitely did audition for stuff I didn't get, but never in this kind of long slog where I was very fortunate and I got stuff pretty quick, but.
Yeah, I think you told way back when, like the Transformers story.
Oh yeah, they Transformers. What was the story that I was? They wanted me to play a guy in a call center.
Guy with an accent.
Yeah. And then my friend did it, Ravi Patel, and then we did a Master of None episode about the whole thing.
Right.
Again, Wild World, and then oh yeah, I remember one time I went in for some movie. This is why I like writing my own stuff. I went in for some movie. It was the Tooth Fairy. It was that Tooth Fairy movie. And I was like, oh, I'll go in for Tooth Fairy. Like, The Rock's cool. And then I remember I did the audition, and they weren't laughing, and it was kind of like in a mean way. And I'm like, well, fuck you, man. You're the ones making the Tooth Fairy. This isn't my shit here. Like, you know.
Yeah, this isn't classic comedy.
They're just getting me in a cold room. And I'm like, all right, well, you're the ones going to have your names on the credit of Tooth Fairy. So, blessings to you, friends.
It did have a great tagline. You can't handle the tooth. Is a pretty great.
That is good.
Pretty good.
You know what Vin Diesel says when he sees that poster? Hi, Dwayne.
There it is. I will say, you glossed over Human Giant. If you don't know Human Giant, look at that. It's still, there's stuff on YouTube. Shutterbugs, Illusionators.
Oh, yeah.
Some great stuff.
No, there's some fun stuff there. And, there's some stuff that probably hasn't aged well. But the stuff that has, I mean, the sketch that they liked at Parks and Rec that, they were like, this sketch got you this show. The premise was that me and Rob Hewell were on a talk show that Paul was hosting. He was doing a news segment about viral videos, and Rob had made a viral video from using like a pair of like garden shears, and he cut his penis off, and it went viral. And he was talking about being viral, and then he's like, "Oh, we have this other guy. He's also went viral," and it was me, and I went viral just for making a bunch of funny faces, and we're both just talking about our experiences. And that was really fun.
Oh my God. Okay. Is Master of None, is the door open? Do you imagine you would ever revisit that in some way, or?
No, I'd probably just do a different show or something like that at this point. I mean, I love that show, and I think it's a good time capsule of New York, especially, it's like 10 years old now. So it's I feel like at this point I just create a new show.
And the ambitions going forward, I know you have a couple scripts. You mentioned sci-fi one. Like, are they all over the place genre-wise, or where are you at?
I had this comedy thing I was going to make. I was actually going to make this other movie this summer. I was going to try to sneak it in right before I had to do all the promo stuff for Good Fortune. And then like 4 weeks out, we just couldn't pull it together. But I want to make that one, and then I finished this sci-fi idea. And I'd love to make all these. It's just such a tricky time to get these movies made and stuff. I mean, that's why I'm like, a lot of people say this stuff about, oh man, you had to go through so much to get this, but it's like, I'm here, we did it. Like that, it's so hard. There's so many people I know that are friends of mine. I sometimes think it too, and then I have people that are friends that have been trying to get stuff made for years, and they haven't been able to. Very talented people, good ideas and things, and it's just hard because, it's just a weird time in the industry. So I'd love to make both those and other things. It'd be great.
On the acting side, I mean, like, you kind of like are spoiled when you get to be the creator and kind of like write yourself these like fun roles. Like, I mean, do you have the ambition to kind of work in other people's sandboxes, or is your focus right now creating your own stuff?
Oh, it'd be great if the right thing came along. That would be amazing. But I was talking to someone about this earlier, about the idea of like I've never been one to wait for the phone to ring. I just build my own phone, but I still have a phone too. So if someone wants to call, I'm happy to take the call.
You didn't literally build your own phone. Just I want to be clear.
It's an analogy.
Okay, I take things very literally. Your first time on the podcast, so we're going to do the happy, sad, confused, profoundly random questions, Aziz. Are you ready for this?
Ready, yes.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I'm allergic to cats.
Okay.
My wife had a cat, and she had to give it up to be with me.
That's love.
Yeah.
Dedication.
Yeah. She's like, what? They have these shots that can make him. I'm like, no, they don't.
What do you collect, if anything?
What do I collect? Nothing really. Espresso cups. I drink a lot of espresso, so sometimes when we're traveling, I'll get an espresso cup. Local ceramics. Seth made me an espresso cup.
He's something of a
He's a gifted ceramicist, and yeah, it's an impressive little piece.
Do you have a favorite video game of all time?
Oh, probably GoldenEye from Nintendo 64. That's definitely my era. What about you?
Yeah, I was a Sega kid, so I'm like Sonic. I'm like
Ben Schwartz.
There you go.
Yeah.
I shouldn't, given what he said about me, but
Yeah.
yes. This is the Dakota Johnson Memorial question. She asked me this. I ask everybody, would you rather have a mouthful of bees or one bee in your butt?
Oh. Wow, this is a lose-lose.
Or
I'm
win-win.
gonna go with the one bee in the butt, because that feels like he might get out of there. But the mouthful, they're going to stick around, you know.
That's the consensus. I think that's the correct answer.
How did that become the...
She asked me that once randomly, and,
Okay.
and it felt worthy to ask everyone for some reason. Here we are. What's the wallpaper on your phone?
Wallpaper,
Background on your phone?
I don't know. I don't think there is. I have like a old flip
you have
phone.
a
It's like
flip
it's just like it's just whatever was there. a blue.
Playing Snake? Are you playing like the old games on
I
there?
have played Snake before. Yeah, it has Snake on there. And sometimes when we were editing, I'd be waiting for our editor Daniel Hayworth to do some technical stuff, and I would play Snake, and I got up to like 180. That was my high score.
Congrats.
And one time I was like, hey, just give me a minute. And I kept playing Snake. And he was like, really, man? I'm like, but it's almost my high score.
It's worthy. Last actor you were mistaken for?
Last actor I was mistaken for? I mean, it's either Hassan or Kumail. That it's usually used. But you know what's interesting is I don't really take offense to that, because some people are like, oh, those people are racist. I don't think it's racism, because you know, I remember when we did Parks and Rec, people would sometimes think I was Danny Pudi, but then I talked to Adam Scott, and he's like, no, people think I'm Joel McHale, and it's just people just get confused. I don't think you need to jump to the race card there.
Right. Very generous. What's the worst note a director has ever given you?
Oh,
You have to name names, but does anything stick out that felt like, ooh?
I don't know. I never had anything bad. I think I've been in stuff that I thought was bad and been like, this doesn't matter. Okay, whatever you need.
And in the spirit of Happy Sad Confused, who's an actor who always makes you happy. You see them on screen, you're in. Keke Palmer.
Keke right away. I on screen, but in real life more so. I'm on screen too, but Keke, I remember we would be shooting and I'd be like, oh, and then Keke would show up and I would light up. I love Keke so much. She's one of my favorite people I've ever met.
She can do anything. She's one of these.
She's unbelievably talented, and even when we were doing some of the press stuff for Good Fortune, God, she'd make me laugh so hard. I can't even grasp the level of talent she has.
Movie that makes you sad, generally, what always
You ever seen Make Room for Tomorrow?
I haven't.
It's famously sad. You know Tokyo Story.
Yeah.
Tokyo Story, Ozu supposedly was inspired by Make Way for Tomorrow. Again, to bring it back to being mortal, it's about an older couple, but it's a famously sad movie, and Orson Welles has a quote about it where he says, "It would make a stone cry," and it's that fucking sad. It's pretty sad. I'm trying to think of what else is what's sad. This is a good. I haven't thought of a list of like really sad.
I always go to I think of Terms of Endearment. I think of Cinema Paradiso. You know, a lot of people go to Up, the early sequence in Up.
Oh yeah, that's one of the greatest things ever, right? That opening sequence. Yeah, that's heartbreaking, and yeah, no dialogue, anything. It's really impressive.
This is the last question. Most importantly, food that makes you confused. You don't understand. Why do people eat that?
Oh,
Can't support it.
I must know this. Food that makes me confused. I shouldn't spend this long.
This is the one
but
that
I want
stumped
to get it
him.
right. Do you have an answer?
Well, you know, I go to like beets. I can't get behind beets.
Beets. They were really pushing beets hard. There was a lot of
I know.
roasted beet salad.
It's been tough the last couple of years for me.
Yeah.
it's
But
out there.
it seems like it's gone away a little
Thankfully.
bit. The beets.
It's my time to shine with the cinnamon rolls. I can get behind that.
You love cinnamon rolls. Yeah.
Look at me. Of course I do.
What about cardamom buns?
Cardamom bun?
Cardamom
It's hard to say.
buns.
Cardamom buns. I'm up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice too. But the food that makes me confused. I I was gonna say celery, but sometimes I like celery.
Okay.
I like celery when it's in like stuffing and when it's in like chicken salad, or tuna salad. So I don't want to throw celery under the bus.
You can love everything. I don't want to force you to hate something. It's okay. We can
I
end
try to
positive.
I try to keep a positive vibe. So I'm gonna say none.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited what's to come. Hopefully, the next collaboration will involve Vin Diesel and beyond.
Vin Diesel.
I'm wishing that into existence for you. I just want him in every movie, honestly.
Yeah. Have you ever seen what's the movie Find Me Guilty? The movie you did
with
with
Sidney
Sidney
Lumet.
Lumet. How is that?
It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
This one's a great one, though. Congratulations.
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you guys.
So, a couple quick things. I'm gonna say, like I said, spread the good word of this. This is on the big screen, a big comedy. We need to see more of these. So please support Aziz, support this movie. Spread the good word. Give it up for Aziz.
Yay!
And so ends another edition of Happy, Sad, Confused. Remember to review, rate, and subscribe to this show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm a big podcast person. I'm Daisy Ridley, and I definitely wasn't pressured to do this by Josh.